Okay, I got it. All right. So we're going to do some flight maneuvers. This is Danielle, and I'm Eric from all the previous videos that you've probably seen. We're doing a lot of fun flying up here and learning a lot of what a gully is. If you don't know what a gully is, the definition will pop up there. And if you don't know what a ravine is, the definition will pop up probably after this. So anyway, we're going to do some steep turns, and we're going to have you riding along as we talk our way through steep turns, and we're going to do slow flight and the power off and power on stall. And as soon as we're done with that, Danielle is going to go through it as well. And right from the right seat, as she's learning how to do all these maneuvers from the right seat, you're going to be learning how to do all the maneuvers from the left seat. And I'm going to do my best to talk my way through it here. So if I don't, maybe there'll be like a short clip interruption and you'll see me with like a better haircut and a nicer shirt, probably a shave, explaining something that I said wrong. Anyway, let's go through it. Alright, so we're at a safe altitude. I'm going to turn the autopilot off and turn the awesome pilot on. The red switch down here on the bottom left is the autopilot. The awesome pilot is me. Don't laugh, Danielle. Okay, so we're at a safe altitude. We're at 4,500 feet. That's the first thing that we want to do when we're doing steep turns and slow flight and stalls. We usually want to be above 1,500 feet AGL or be able to recover from whatever maneuver we're doing at or above 1,500 feet AGL. I'm going to pick a reference point. I'm pointed right at Salinas right now, but a lot of times it's good to pick a reference point that's a prominent mountain or feature that's up ahead of yourself. That way you can stay outside visually all the time. I'm going to line myself up with Fremont Peak and the antennas, which might be hard to see in the camera, maybe because there's prop blur and something like that. But I'm lined up with it right now, and another thing that I'm going to do to help myself is I'm going to put my heading bug on 325, which is where I'm headed. I'm going to do a little clearing turn to make sure we're clear, just because we've been trucking along here and not really talking to anybody for a while. So I'm going to do a clearing turn to the left. That's a 90-degree left turn. And usually about a medium bank, shallow bank turn is fine. What we're doing is when we have the wing down on the left-hand side, we're looking to make sure we're clear. And you know you turn 90 degrees when your little red needle gets over off your right tick mark off the right-hand side of your heading indicator. Or your antenna is off the right wingtip. And now we're coming back onto our reference point. We're looking down ahead of ourselves, make sure nobody's down there. Make sure Sean D. Tucker isn't doing a hammerhead right below us, coming right up at us. And we're going to line back up with our reference point. Okay, altitude safe area is clear and airspeed's appropriate. Right now we're doing about 112 miles an hour. And VA is 124 miles an hour calibrated airspeed. So we're going to make sure that we are below that, which we are. And we're going to start with a steep turn to the right. So we're clear right, Danielle?
Clear right.
All right, here we go. We're going to start our turn to the right. And we're going to set the bank at 45 degrees. And we're going to roll a little bit of back pressure and to hold the nose in one position. We're also going to add a little bit of power because the airspeed tends to want to drop off while we conduct this maneuver. A lot of people look in the wrong place. A lot of people look ahead of the airplane. They look inside the cockpit. But really where you should be looking is right on the nose as the nose slices through the horizon. You glance inside at your altimeter to make sure that the altitude's not going up or down, that your bank angle is still correct at 45 degrees. And that's the white line where the right wing is on the attitude indicator. As you approach your rollout point, you want to lead your rollout by about 10 degrees and do a nice smooth rollout. You're allowed plus or minus 10 degrees on your heading and plus or minus 100 feet on your altitude. How'd I do?
That's it. That looked pretty good.
That looked pretty good. Of course it did. Awesome pilot's on. All right, and then you can reduce your power, right? Now let's talk about some of the common errors that you have when you do this maneuver, and I'm going to do the turn to the left this time. We're clear to the left, and here we go. So rolling in, we're going to set the bank, and then we're going to add a little power and keep the back pressure on so that the nose doesn't drop and we lose altitude. One of the common errors is not holding enough back pressure. And when the nose starts to drop, the vertical speed starts to go down, the altimeter goes down, and the airspeed goes up. You don't just want to pull back on the yoke because it puts a lot of G-force on the airplane. You want to roll the wings back towards level and bring the nose up. And let the lift from the wing bring you back up in altitude. That way there's no G-loading. It's real easy to get messed up in that where you're pulling way too many Gs. Then you can get back into your turn and keep practicing. Alright, we're coming up and leading a roll out. We're going to roll out here with right rudder and right aileron. Nice and coordinated back on our heading. And we'll reduce the power back to cruise. Okay, we had traffic pass on the upper right hand side. And we're clear now, so we're going to do slow flight. So still aligned with the Fremont Peak reference point. About 330 is the heading right now. And we're going to do a clearing turn to the left and then back to the right. Then we're going to configure for slow flight. So nice gentle turn to the left. Whenever you're doing your clearing turn, you want to make sure that you stay at the same altitude and you just make a nice gentle turn. It doesn't have to be a steep turn. And take your time and look outside. And divide your attention between flying the airplane and looking outside and make sure you're not going to run into anything. There's 90 degrees to the left and we're coming back to the right. Alright, back onto our heading. Okay, area is clear, altitude safe, we're at 4,500 feet. We need to be at or above 1,500 feet AGL. And airspeed's good. We're about 110 again for starting the maneuver, that's fine. Usually you want to start slow flight from, about a cruise power setting. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is check our fuel. It's down here on the left-hand side. We want to make sure it's on the fullest tank. And it's on the right tank right now, and they're both about even. So it's kind of an existential question as to which tank is fuller at this point. I like to look at them as both full, but that's just because I'm way overly optimistic.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Alright, so gas, undercarriage is down and welded on this airplane. Can't afford a retractable landing gear. Gas, undercarriage, mixture, we're going to bring the mixture rich. Power, we're going to bring the power back to 1,500 RPM. That's the big 15 on the tachometer right down here. And as you bring the power back, you want to raise the nose up. Raise the nose up so the airplane doesn't naturally want to descend. You have to fight against it descending. Airspeed's dropping, we're going to turn the carburetor heat on, and we're going to start raising our flaps. 1, 2, 3 clicks. 70, still holding altitude and heading. There's 65, I'm going to bring my power up to 2,000 RPM, and when I do so, it takes just a little bit of right rudder to counteract the torque and the P factor of the engine to hold me there at 65. At 65 is our pre-calculated airspeed of where we really want to be above the stall warning horn. And if you're climbing or descending at this point, you can adjust throttle. If you're doing this by yourself, it might use a lot less power. If you're doing it with a big guy like me on board, it might take a lot more power. Okay, and we're in the region of reverse command, which is about as fun as it sounds. So if you want to go up, you have to add power. So if we're descending, you need to add power. And if we're ascending, if we're going up, we need to decrease power. If you want to go faster, you have to lower the nose. If you want to go slower, you need to raise the nose. And what you don't want to have on is the stall warning horn. They want you to not have the stall warning horn on for this maneuver. And when we're maneuvering during slow flight, if we're doing a turn, we're going to do a nice gentle turn. We don't want to turn too steeply because we don't want to stall. Our stall speed increases while we turn. And we're also going to have to add power in order to hold altitude while we're turning. So I'm doing a nice gentle left turn here, holding altitude by adding power. We're clear to the left as we turn. And I'm going to roll out on due west here. Now when it's time to recover, what you're going to do is you're going to go full power. Because you were going slow and now you want to go fast, so you bring the throttle all the way forward. We're going to turn the carb heat off because that will actually give us full power. And as we accelerate, we can start retracting the flaps. One notch at a time as we accelerate. As you accelerate, you also lower the nose, so you do accelerate, not climb. You don't want to retract the flaps until you're basically above your VY speed of 87 miles an hour. So there's 87, and now we're going to get rid of the last notch of flaps. When you're doing the maneuver, you want to hold your heading and altitude. Heading plus or minus 10 degrees and altitude plus or minus 100 feet. A lot of times people get really discombobulated doing this maneuver because it's the first time that they really configure the airplane for a maneuver. It's usually the first maneuver that they learn. And so when they start doing this maneuver, they go really slow because they don't know where all the switches are and how to work the airplane switches and configure the airplane with flaps. And so when they're going slow, a lot of times it causes them to lose attention. They lose track of flying the airplane, and the airplane goes off heading or altitude. We use the before landing checklist on this maneuver and clear to the right while we turn back to the north. One of the reasons why we use the before landing checklist when we're doing this maneuver is because I like teaching that checklist as it gets the students ready to be able to get in the pattern and land the airplane. It's one of the easiest ways I know to get you to configure the airplane correctly. Alright, let's try a power off stall. So we're going to do a clearing turn again. Well, this time we'll do it to the right. I see one guy off to the right over there, so we're going to go to the right. Clear right. And we're going. Look before you turn. And so we're going to turn all the way over to the east. And here we go back to north. Okay, we're at a safe altitude, 4,500 feet, and our clearing turn is complete. And we're at a good airspeed, about 110 miles an hour. So again, we're going to start this maneuver from cruise, and we're going to do gumps again. Love gumps. Gas, undercarriage is down and welded. Mixture is rich. Power, back to 1,500 RPM again. We're going to hold the nose up just briefly while we let the airplane decelerate into flap rate speed. Carbide on, and the flaps are coming on one click at a time. There we go, we got 3 clicks, flaps are all the way down. And now we're about 75 miles an hour. I'm going to initiate a descent with the airplane, kind of like we're doing a short field landing. So everything's coming down just like we're doing a short field approach, 75 miles an hour with full flaps. And now we're going to bring the power back towards idle, and we're going to pitch the airplane up above the horizon, the nose above the horizon, to initiate the stall. Just gently above the horizon. There's the horn. And there's the buffet, and the nose drops. Nose down, full power. Back to the horizon. Carbide off. And now we're going to slowly retract the flaps as we're accelerating. And we don't want to retract all the flaps again until we're above the VY. There's 87. And the flaps are all the way up. Again, you want to hold your heading in altitude, or not altitude, excuse me, you want to hold your heading plus or minus 10 degrees. And there's no requirement to hold your altitude. You just want to recover with the minimum loss of altitude. They don't want to see you diving out of the sky on that maneuver. But you should recover as the manufacturer recommends that you can recover with the airplane. And it should take a couple hundred feet or so to recover from a stall in this airplane. If you're doing more than that, you're probably doing something wrong. Alright, let's get away from the mountains because we want to be safe, right? We're going to do a power on stall. This time I'm going to turn down to the southeast, heading a 130, and we'll do a clearing turn on that heading, and then we will configure for the power on stall. Okay, we're at 4,200 feet, which is plenty of altitude. We're going to do a clearing turn to the left, and looking to the left to make sure we're clear. That's a big yawn, Danielle. Sorry to bore you. Alright. There we go, 90 degrees to the left, and 90 degrees back to the right. I always talk like this, sorry to bore you. Okay. Good. Das ist gut. Alright. Back on a heading of 130. We've got our reference point up ahead of us, kind of the down the valley here, and we got our heading bug in front of us. Area is clear, altitude safe, 4,200 feet. And the airspeed's good. We're back at cruise, which is a good place to enter this maneuver. So we're going to do GUPS again. Gas, undercarriage, mixture. Power is going to go back to 1500, and you're saying, hey, wait a minute, you're doing a power on stall. Why are you bringing the power back? Well, we want to slow the airplane down just like it is after takeoff. We're going to leave no flaps in this time. We're going to turn the carbine on while we have the power back. Once we get to 80 miles an hour, I'm going to turn the throttle all the way up, and I'm going to put the carb heat off, and we're going to initiate a climb.
Contact open 119er, 0.75.
And you want to just put the nose slightly above the horizon and hold it there so the airspeed continuously decelerates. And there's the buffet and the stall. Nose down just below the horizon. Let the airplane accelerate and then hold your altitude.
Number 528 Charlie Lima, contact open center.
You want to recover in the minimum loss of altitude, and you want to hold your heading throughout the maneuver. And we should be putting the ACS up with every single maneuver we have on here. So you can read that as well for all the other requirements. Anyway, that's the flight maneuvers, guys, and that's the stuff that you're going to be practicing when you first start learning how to fly. And I got to go because time is love. And that's my wife texting me right now saying, why aren't you on the ground? This is Eric Teeters and Danielle Ray signing off from high above the Salinas Valley. Say goodbye, Danielle.
Bye, Danielle.